Ahoy! Here we are. Hang on. There I am. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the BBC Spews Live. Huzzah! It's the 12th of April, 2025, in this world gone mad. I hope everybody's doing all right. Who's in? Let's have a look. Crikey, 300 already. Hello, everyone. Mr. Myrtle, now then. Ams, hello. David J. Barker, hello. Ragnar, thanks for moderating. Who else is in CFC? My favourite Cockney, Professor Andy, Stu, and obviously the Codhead's in. Dave, how are you doing? Up in, not in Saltburn anymore, are you? You told me that. Ayton or Summit. Shame we never tagged up last time I was home. I did go for a mint Parmo in Ayton though. Oh, what's the place called? Absolutely class Parmo in Great Ayton. Anyway, one of the only good things about the trip home, certainly walking through downtown Middlesbrough wasn't much of a pleasant experience. In fact, no, it was the exact opposite. It was like wandering through a particularly busy bazaar in a Baghdad marketplace. The only difference was I didn't find a severed head on top of a garage roof this time. Although, does it count as a severed head if it was blown up there by an improvised explosive device? Probably not. That's it. It was the book. That was where I went. Got a mint Parmo and chips in the book. It was class. Mr. White was educated about Parmos when he worked in Sunderland. They're a borough thing, really. In the 80s, the only place you could get one was Middlesbrough. They do seem to have slightly expanded now. I did get one in Newcastle, which I thought was weird, and I even saw one in York. But then I ordered it and it came and it didn't have any bechamel on it. So I was most alarmed by that. Not a Parmo if there's no bechamel. It was just a slightly burnt, deep fried bit of chicken with some cheese on top. Anyway, loads of good stuff to talk about. Several of which I alluded to on my Twitter page yesterday. Did you see that? I was playing around trying to make a new header. It's really hard to get the dimensions right. I think I need to employ a professional. Because, I made one that I thought looked cool, and you can't see the logo. It's I was playing around with it for YouTube. It wouldn't even take it on YouTube because it's far too big. But I put it on my banner on Twitter, and I thought that was quite a good idea. Like Diane Abacus doing a bad maths, Gary Shitlips, and then that bird who's became world famous for being a maniac. So that's good. Anyway. Right, that was good. I'm still sweating a bit. I thrashed myself in the gym about an hour ago. I quickly got a shower and here I am. So yeah, that's good, isn't it? Almost professional. Some of the stories I want to talk about, however, is British Steel. I'll have to talk through that because to see the Labour Party talking about as if the saviours of British Steel is genuinely offensive to anybody who knows anything about the history of the country. You know, my old fella told me back when Blair won, oh yeah, someone else important has joined the chat, Bess Black. Bess is now a channel member, which helps a lot because apparently the more of them you get, the less likely the terrifying authoritarian sociopaths that run the entire platform are to unceremoniously throw you off it because they take a percentage. So you might not think it, but you're doing God's work. Best Black, welcome to the channel as a member. Thank you. Yeah, my old fella told me when Blair won, he was like, well, that's the industry knackered then. Trust me, he was like, 10 years, it'll be knackered. I'm telling you. And how prophetic was he? Everyone worked in steel in the 90s in England, in Middlesbrough, sorry. Every one of us. I did. All my mates in school did. My mate Woody from Redcar, all the Redcar lads worked British Steel, Enron, ICI, all of the industry down there, and it's all gone. Stu, are you still nursing a semi from last week, Matt? I've always got one. Now, there's blood in it 24/7. When your country has been usurped completely by... I mean, the worst thing is, they told us, didn't they? Sensible people told us. People like Peter Hitchens and David Starkey told us exactly what was going to happen. And we knew, didn't we? But I swear down, that's true story. That Davey, my old fella, told me that when I was like 17. I wasn't even interested in politics. When Tony Blair won, he said, "Yeah, take your last look around the steel industry. You best take it all in now because it'll be gone." And 20 years later, I think you can even see in a very prophetic manner, a very explicit manner, sorry, exactly what's happening because Dorman Long, which is where my dad served his time, he proudly showed me all of his documents from when he served his time there. And when he was a young lad, that's what everyone used to do. And not long ago, they blew it all up, which is emblematic of what the Labour Party, and by extension the Tories as well. I think by the time Cameron came in, the Tories were just Labour, blue Labour, weren't they? So by extension, it was all of them. But definitely in 1997, the real catalyst of all of our demise, the real catalyst of every problem we've got to this day was Tony Blair. So you have to give him his credit. He's like an evil genius. But he was Beelzebub. Like everything that has came to pass is a result of the Dark Lord taking power. Tony Blair rising to power was the equivalent of Sauron being a shapeshifter and taking control of, all of the dominions of men under the guise of some smooth talking, slithering snake, because it all comes from there. And then I watched this fascinating. Oh, look, there it is. There's footage of Dorman Long getting blew up. Let's watch it. This was 2021, and it's a nice precursor to what's happened. I.e., that was sort of like the crown jewel for training and educating steelworkers in the northeast of England, and now it's gone. History. So that's the cherry on top of that, and we saw it coming. Described by some as a symbol of Teesside industrial heritage. Old explosion. See you later. We do it with everything, don't we? Bids were made to save the tower on the former steelworks site. Bids. What bids? It was stripped of its grade 2 status by nadding Dorries. So yeah, Tony Blair caused all that. Ultimately, he did. Because as we know, where's my pub gone? I don't like that background. There we go. I watched Toff at the Top. Has anybody in the chat watched Toff at the Top by Peter Richards? If you haven't, I'm going to find it now and put a link in the chat for you because it was such a good show. I watched it a few years ago. Put it on my phone. Watched it when I was down the gym, and I thought it was fascinating. It's Peter Richards making a documentary in 2007 all about Anthony Worm-Tongue Blair and David Cameron. Cameron was obviously a plant. Here it is. There's the thing. I'll put a link to it in the chat now. Here you are. If you're having nothing to do tonight, watch that. It's unbelievable. It's genuinely surprising how much. Again, Peter Richards is just a savant. The old get knows everything. Sadwings, look for a set of new Sheffield knives. Gone, yeah. You know what is a wonderful coincidence? A weird thing that happened when I was working in Huntsville. I was working for an aerospace company in Alabama, and I made friends with a lad called Scott Scarborough. Remember the name well because he's named after Scarborough. And I got on really well with him. He was an older fella. He was about 60, I think. And me and him got on really well. And when we were talking military matters, he was in the Navy. And I told him I was a bootneck. A couple of weeks later, he brought in a proper Sheffield steel commando dagger. And it even had a nice little case for it. And he said, you can have that. And I've still got it. It's in my bedside cabinet next to me pistol. So, I was thinking, if we're really in trouble, I'll have my missus cover the door with the firearm and I can get up close for a bit of tasty knife work. Oh, I haven't done anything like that for years. So it's in my bedside cabinet, and that's a real Sheffield steel knife. We've just ruined everything, haven't we? We've just ruined everything. Ruined all of our industry. Ruined everything that made us great. Watch that chat and watch that video if you're doing that tonight, and you'll be amazed. And it was all about David Cameron properly being captured by Blair's ideology, and he knew that if he wanted to win power, he had to copy him, and he saw himself as the heir of Blair. And he interviews all these different people, and they all talk about it at length and say, like, David Cameron's not even remotely conservative. David Cameron is a slithering little rat who'll say and do anything to land power as the sons of gentlemen. And he's a distant relation to the Queen. He's just a snake. He's a snake. He doesn't believe anything. They kept the steel plant open to make machetes for... Yeah, they closed the one in Sheffield because there wasn't enough Jamaican yardies down there, but they've opened the plant. It's just down in London now. Or Birmingham. Birmingham steel. Birmingham steel is probably the best. Isn't it? You need Birmingham steel now. All the yardies down there will keep you in business for the rest of your life. So that's good. What was the other story I wanted to talk about? Oh yeah, everyone's. Did anyone else watch this Smith versus Murray debate? Right, I watched like an hour of it, and I got bored, and then I did another half hour when I was at home. But basically, I watched half of it. The thing is, what is obvious from looking at the chat, and this is how I know that I am independent because I don't agree with anyone, is Douglas Murray and Dave. I don't like Dave, I don't. Neither of them did bad. Like, everyone who's talking about it, it's like, oh yeah, he got destroyed, he got demolished, all that. Neither of them did too bad a job. So it tells me that everyone watching it is either a hardcore Israel puller or a hardcore Palestine sycophant. And obviously everyone who's a regular at Allen's is on Twitter, and all of the left and all of them lots saying, oh my God, Douglas got destroyed. And then all of the Israel crowd are going, oh, Douglas is amazing, he destroyed him. And that's not true. Like, neither of them did particularly badly. Dave's just more annoying because he's one of them. I hate comedians who aren't funny, right? I don't think I could be a professional comedian. Like, all my cracks just sort of like, stuff you pick up in the boozer. So I think you should have a really, really, really high bar for comedians. And I feel like in this day and age, they'll take anyone who has even, like, literally every single bloke who I knock about with is a good crack. That's why they're my mates. And every single one of them is funnier than these professional comics nowadays. For example, you can't tell me Francis Foster is a comedian. A bloke like that, I don't consider myself to be a comedian. Francis Foster is about as funny as finding a lump on your balls, right? The bloke is awful. So the reason I think I lean towards preferring Douglas Murray is because he doesn't call himself a comedian. I hate the way 9 out of 10 comedians nowadays aren't even slightly funny. So that annoys me. He thinks he's much cleverer than he is. At least Douglas Murray's clever. But he did come off badly, Douglas Murray, because there's way better ways of saying, I don't think it's right to constantly make out as if a bit of crack or banter is in any way serious, so that stupid people can like take it hard. Because some of the points he did make, he didn't do a good job of making them, but he didn't. He sort of come across as mega smug and condescending. Like, if you're not an expert, we shouldn't listen to you, and that is wrong. Because, how many times have I talked about that? One of the only true things Michael Gove ever said was that the public's had enough of experts. Because we have. Because the problem with experts, which I didn't feel like, which is why I think Dave Smith's a bit of a plank as well, because he didn't put the point across in very simplistic terms. The experts lie all the time. All of the experts get paid off. So, of course we can't trust experts. Of course we have to do it ourselves. We can't just always say to defer to the experts, because the experts lie. I'm not even saying I don't think the experts are thick. I think they lie. I think someone like Neil Fergatwat is clever. I think he's just a paid liar. They get told what to say. And then that's that. So you can't make the argument that we have to listen to an expert. Because experts lie. They're all bought and paid for. We're talking about Sargon there. Like, again, I think I've watched Sargon since it was before Gamergate. I think I was living in York when I first started watching Sargon. Probably was about 2011 when he used to do The Week in Stupid. I've been a fan of his for like 15 years or something. Again, I like the bloke, but disappointed, mate. You don't have to agree with everyone all the time. I don't agree with him 20% of the time. I don't agree with Douglas Murray, which is why, as you all know, I have an animus against a couple of YouTubers that do what that Dave Smith and them do, which is pussy out of arguing. Because you all know, I mean, I've worn me out on my sleeve, I've talked about it. I don't like that fast fucking air bloke because literally, I mean, it sounds almost childish, but I've got a long memory. I'm an angry northerner. We haven't even had a real conversation, but it's literally down to the fact that I posted on his Twitter page once because he said something that I thought was bollocks about Ukraine. And he instantly blocked me. And that pisses me off because it's like, hang on, if you're going to give shite opinions, you at least have to give people the right to reply. So, I mean, again, I'm making the point that I think I'm an independent thinker. I don't always agree with Sargon, but I definitely wouldn't if Sargon said something back to me. He rarely has. See, I've been on a podcast with him once. If we've had a disagreement and he said something, he hasn't like banned me or refused to talk to me. That fella, the second I said, hang on, this is bollocks though, instant block. I didn't even know it happened. Never sent me a message. Just literally the next time I clicked on his Twitter page to disagree with the point he made, it's like, oh, you have been blocked. And I was like, so he's a rat then? Like, he's out there. He's got a public profile and he's just banning everyone who fucking disagrees with him. I don't like it. I think if you're going to put your opinions out there, you should give people the, opinion of the chance to poke you back. So I don't think either of them gave a bad account of themselves. And I think 9 out of 10 people, no, I haven't. I still follow Owen Jones, James O'Brien. James O'Bacon is perfect for comedy value. So I always watch them. Have I banned Andrew? The only person I've ever banned was about. He's disappeared, bless him, didn't he? About 3, maybe it was more. Was it 3 or 4 years ago? There was a bloke called Matt. I don't know if that was his real name. He just used to spam the chat all the time. And then he said something calling me a liar and it pissed me off because I was like, I'm not lying. You're just fully making shit up in the chat. So I banned him on the chat, not on not on Twitter or I think I didn't even have it on then. I think that's the only person that springs to mind who I banned. Yeah, Airy. Yeah, that's it. Matty. I haven't seen him for years, so I think he lost interest. But he was an absolute chopper, wasn't he? So he doesn't count. It wasn't about an ideological disagreement. It wasn't like disagreeing about the Ukraine war or Israel-Palestine. He's just being a knobhead all the time. So I think you should have the right to reply. So that fast jet bloke does me head in. Like, disagreed with me, and then I said, yeah, but what about this? And then he banned me. I was like, okay. So is that the game you play then? You're happy to make an online profile and give your opinions, but as soon as someone actually genuinely disagrees with you, you just go, I'm banning you. So I think he's a bit of a nosh bag. And obviously, Fastjet, he's going to be a fanny because fannies join the Air Force. So if you don't want to have to actually, risk getting bayoneted in the face by a Taliban fighter, you go in the RAF and then you give it Billy fucking Big Bollocks like they all do. So he's going to be a bit of a shithouse. Anyone who thinks he's Tommy 10 Bollocks. Whoa, beer tokens. I'm coining it in today. Sat by you big. Cheers, mate. An end center. Back in the day, that would have been worth $23. When I first started seeing my missus, I used to go and get $500 out the cash machine out here. And my bank used to charge me like 240 quid or something. I think now it's about 130 in it, i.e. $500 now if I used my British bank account. Probably cost me like 400 quid. That's how bad it is. So quite a change in like 18 years or something, innit? First time I came out here. Jane likes him. Well, like I said, full disclosure, I haven't actually had an argument with him. I'm sure he's right plenty of the time, right? If I actually talked to him, I'd probably agree with him 70% of the time. But I'm just saying, I dislike him for being a fanny and just instantly blocking me. But yeah, I'm sure he's all right. What else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, 12,000 arrests. There's one. Do you remember that one? 12,000 arrests. Let me look for that. For tweets. Look for the story. That's not it. That's the Daily Mail. I found one yesterday and I was going to cover, and now it's Are you next? Here we go. 12,000 Brits arrested every year over social media posts. It's cringe, man. It's embarrassing. It's almost worse in every respect that it's from the UK, because let me blow that up a bit so you can read it. It's embarrassing. Also, have you noticed how you got to get it off RT? Because BBC aren't talking about it. And it's quite shocking. Like, it's more depressing and distressing that it is Britain, isn't it? Because the country that was famous for John Locke, for example, and some of the greatest champions of liberalism throughout the world was the UK. And that's why it makes it more egregious. Like, it's disgraceful. It's ridiculously depressing. We were the pioneers of this stuff. The Americans and all the places that we spawned still admire and revere people like John Locke. They're like the founding fathers of the movement that demanded freedom of speech and deed for people. And they all talk about him in America. But look where we've fallen. How the mighty have fallen. That is absolutely shocking. And it's embarrassing. It's deeply illiberal. It's exactly what it is. It's the opposite of what England was famed for, was legendary for. So how embarrassing is it? How bad is it that that's happening? Worse than China, worse than Russia. I bet you the Chinese don't arrest 12,000 people a year over social media posts. That's a lamentable statistic, that. Let's have a read. Need a drink. Hang on. Thousands of people in the UK have been detained and questioned by police over online posts deemed threatening or offensive, the Times has reported, citing custody data. According to figures published on Friday, officers make around 12,000 arrests annually under Section 127 of the Communications Act 2003 and Section 1 of the Malicious Communications Act 1988. This is the problem here. It was turning that into that, innit? It's so simple. And who's the one that I've been talking about this last week? Because God bless her, this poor lass got arrested for saying, "Who cares if they burn all the who cares if they burn down all the Bell End churches?" is what she said. Because she was extremely upset. She's a young mother who, honestly, not much upsets me. I'm not a fanny. I was a little bit upset when I saw the pictures leaked on X. One of them was a little blonde girl covered in knife wounds on her hands and knees while a paramedic was trying to give her treatment. And I was a little bit, I was more filled with rage, hatred and anger, and rage again, more rage, than I was upset. But it was extremely, extremely upsetting to see that. And this poor lass, in response to dead children, right, was visibly upset and shaken by it because it's dead children, you animals, you heartless, logistician, pure. They're all about like numbers and data and skewing statistics to make their evil, demented arguments. But there's no heart or soul to any of them. You know, normal people have empathy. I do, and I'm not a sentimental man. You know, if I read a really fantastic piece of literature, something by Terry Pratchett or Dan Abnett or something that really sort of speaks to me, you know, you get a lump in your throat reading it. Or Druss, some of Druss's wonderful speeches. You get a lump in your throat reading that because it speaks to something beyond just the fact that we're chimps with clothes on it. There's something in us that maybe it's a desperate desire to like. It's almost like a sort of secular religion to me. Really reading a piece of fantastic literature about there's a class space marine one, Camber Diaz holds a bridge, and he's just ripped it off from, you know, reality. Like I think it was one of Caesar's men who he wrote about in his scribblings, some Roman soldier who held a bridge with his spear and a tower shield against like 20 blokes. And it sings to you when you're a man because it makes you think, maybe even though I'm not a deeply religious person, I could sort of transcend my lowly origins, and maybe I could put my life on the line to save my family or my friends or my brothers in arms. That type of stuff really makes your heart sing when you're a normal person. But if you're a deranged sociopath, political ideologue, woke, degenerate scumbag, right? Nothing touches you. Nothing touches you. All you've got is the mission and your ideology. So when they see little girls on their hands and knees on the tarmac with knife wounds in them, nothing touches them. Nothing touches them. They don't think that's someone's daughter, that's a child who's had her life ruined. They just think, oh no, this might affect the ideology. This might hit our numbers. Oh no, the electorate may have pushback. We must move to damage control. And then they have a quick meeting in a boardroom, all of them, Keir Starmer and Lambtron and Vinegar Tits and Sheep Teeth and all of them. And they all get around the table and they're all like, yeah, how must we create this situation where we can play this to our advantage? They don't see the little girls bleeding and just get pissed and instant rage boner and think, right, get them, grab them, throw them all out, drown them. That's what normal people do. Is it always a rational, reasonable response? No, it's not, but it's heart. It's heart and soul. It's human to lose your temper occasionally. They just have a board meeting and go, we must make hay with this gift we've been given. They're just evil. They're evil. And this woman, bless her, got upset because she read that and seen the pictures of the little girls. So she went on Twitter and posted something stupid that she shouldn't have posted. And again, nobody in the cold light of day thinks that you should broad brush murder people because of their ideology. No one thinks that. It doesn't matter who you talk. Nick Griffin doesn't think that about that. Tommy Robinson doesn't think that. Kenny from the Homeland Party doesn't think that. Nobody thinks anything as bad as what she spat out when she was in a fury because of the dead children. It's understandable. And what did the government do? No empathy. No empathy. Nothing. They didn't care. They were like, shouldn't have wrote that. You know what I mean? No extenuating circumstances. We talked about this a lot when Al Blackman got locked up, didn't we? Because Al Blackman got done for murder because he got stitched up by the absolute vermin that run the upper echelons of the military. Everyone knows this. Once you get past the rank of like colonel, you're a politician. You know, the Sea Lord. I'm a proud man and I'm proud of being a Royal Marine, but the Sea Lord is lower than me. The Sea Lord, he's not fit to lick my fucking beanbag, right? I have hatred for these people because the politicians are no different. You don't get to be the Sea Lord if you're not a politician. And when Al Blackman put a round in the head of a stone-cold killer and used the term No sense wasting an FFD on this oxygen thief, right? Every fighting man understood what had happened. And being professionals, nobody even said he should get a pass either. Everyone said, you know what? It's a bad example to set. Professionalism is king when you're a Royal Marine. We pride ourselves on that. Of course, he shouldn't have done what he did. But I can understand where he's coming from. I understand how a man can get consumed with hatred at the height of battle when he's lost some of his brother in arms to these people. So we all said, surely he's just going to get like manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. You don't have to be a legal professional to know exactly that that's what it is, because you're in a war zone and there's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, and he's had his mates killed by these people. So everyone was like, yeah, that's manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. He should get his wrist slapped. And he should get, like, I don't know, give him like 6 years for manslaughter, let him out in 2, sort of like slap his wrist, make sure everybody knows that that's not something a fighting man should be doing. And we have a reputation to uphold. Laws being served, justice has been done. But what did they do? No, what did they do? They instantly went, murder, first degree murder. Every single man who's ever been in a combat zone knew straight away, and not even that, every normal bloke you talk to in the pub knew that wasn't murder. You don't have to be a legal professional, you know it. It's not murder. Crime of passion's not murder. If you just come home, a war zone's way more complex, a dynamic, and way more stressful than something as simplistic as, I don't know, coming home and finding the milkman plugging your missus. So you get pissed off and stab him in the head and he dies, right? You wouldn't get done for murder for that because it wasn't premeditated. And it wouldn't even be like second degree because there was no planning involved. You didn't start your day to kill the bloke. You come home, you see your missus getting took for a ride round Pound Town, right, without your knowledge, and you snap, and your lawyer says, he's got no criminal record, he wouldn't normally have killed someone, but he just flipped out when he walked in and saw his missus getting a good seen to by the local dairy producer. Everybody knows you wouldn't get jailed for murder, you wouldn't get done for murder, you wouldn't get charged for murder. It'd be manslaughter. So it was obviously a stitch-up by the upper ranks in the military because the Sea Lord is a rat. And anyone who's above a lieutenant colonel, I've met some good colonels that I had time for, but they tap out at colonel. Good blokes tap out at colonel. Once you get above that, you're a politician. So the Sea Lord's a rat. And all those people who sat on the board with him and determined that a man who is infinitely their better, Al Blackman, should be sentenced to 25 years in prison for murder. They're all rats. And if I seen him, I'd love to bump into him now I'm a strawberry mivvy in a pair of tracky bottoms and a t-shirt where I don't have to salute him. And I'd say to him, here, rat boy. No, I'm going to forego your title, Sea Lord. First of all, because your navy's an embarrassment. Sea Lord? How can you be the Lord of the Sea when you've got a ramshackle tin pot navy that's a joke? How can you call yourself that? They should get rid of that rank straight away. Call him ramshackle bathtub skipper, right? Because he's not a Sea Lord. He's a fucking weasel. And I'd tell him to his face. Like, you are a rat. I've got more honour and nobility and discipline in my left testicle than you or any of them worms on the board who sentenced Al Blackman to 25 years for first degree murder. I've got more empathy and humanity in my left gonad than you've got in your entire body. Seaman Lord. Check your ex, Matt. All right, cheers, mate. Hang on. Is that guy having a go at me? How much do your 8 followers pay you? I like that. What I'm looking for. Here we are. Oh, brilliant. I love that. All right, well, we'll cover Salman's brother soon. I'll just finish this up because I did start. Anyway, so 2023 alone. Sorry for the rambling, but it makes me angry every time I think about Sergeant Blackman. Officers from 37 forces made 12,183 arrests. 33 a day. 33 a day. Do they arrest 33? Oh, hang on, that page is gone. Where's it gone? Hang on. There it is. Yeah, in 2023, they did 33 arrests a day. That's absolutely unbelievable, isn't it? That is worse than Russia. So that is absolutely shocking. It said the statistics have sparked public outcry, with civil liberties groups accusing the authorities of over-policing. Of course, accusing. No, I'll tell you what, I'll finish with this. So at least you know the numbers. At least you know you're living in an authoritarian police state. The one thing I'll finish with that on is that little rat, Starmer, when he went to see Trumpy Bear, did you notice he got questioned about no freedom of speech in the UK by JD Vance? And the little rat, the little weasel, went, we have got a very proud freedom of speech tradition in the UK. And then he just stopped. He was like, we're very proud of that. So he made a comment. He said, so he knows it himself is my point. He perfectly sidestepped the question. He didn't say, what you're talking about. Of course we've got freedom of speech. He went, we are very proud that we had freedom of speech for many years. It's like using the former tense, the past tense. So he actually talked like a lawyer, like he purposely sidestepped it because he said we've got a long history of freedom of speech. Don't fucking have it anymore. Like that's may as well have said that. So even he knows it. He knows that everybody knows that he's a rat and he's a liar and he's a tyrant. And he stepped over the question because he didn't want to address it, did he? Right, let's have a look at this. What Rag sent me. I'll type it in on Google and it'll probably come up on the BBC. Brother of Manchester, BBC. Oh no, look at that one. I've just got an old one. Arrest warrant issued for his brother. Listen. You know what? We could get into the weeds on this fella, but ultimately, don't you think he's just a walking advertisement for capital punishment? Like, what do these people bring to the table? I don't understand why. There's no good reason. I've told this before, right? Again, I've always considered myself to be a reasonable centrist chap, right? I've never said, like, most crime should warrant the death penalty. But if you're just never going to get better, you know what I mean? If you're a burglar and the reason you burgled someone is because you're a smackhead and you really wanted some smack, well then fair enough. I understand. When there's cause and effect and rehabilitation, I support rehabilitation. But when someone is just a career oxygen thief, what's the point? Aren't we just wasting everybody's time? Someone like Ian Huntley, you know what I mean? He wasn't doing it for material wealth, finance crimes or theft or robbery or any of that. He was doing it because he has an irrational desire because of his broken brain to bugger and possibly eat a 10-year-old, right? That's not. What's the point? It's not. They always say about, oh yeah, the justice system's got no time for vengeance. I don't have any vengeance in my heart. I think it's regretful. Because I'll tell you what, and I bet you I'm upsetting all the very, very right-wing people in here. Like Sadwings, make Birching great again, right? I bet you I'm upsetting you lot, but I don't have hatred for them. I genuinely think, by definition, someone like Ian Huntley or like Moira Hindley, or Fred West, old Teddy, right? By definition, they are mentally ill. Like, no normal person wants to do that. So, by definition, they are mentally ill. So, I don't think it's vengeance. And you could even say, I'm a little bit regretful. Like putting a sick dog down when it's got rabies. It might have been a nice dog, but it's got rabies. So, we've got to get shot of it. That's what I'm thinking. They misrepresent our position. Maybe some of you sickos in the chat are like, I'd just love to kill Ian Huntley with a brick because it'd be funny. Maybe some of you weirdos think that. I think it's the same as putting a sick dog down. Like, no normal person wants to do that. The problem is the mental health. And again, they make out their mental. See, this is the thing. Most criminals pretend they're mental because the slippery, lying, dirty, oily lawyers, of which almost all of our slippery, lying, oily, dirty politicians are, so they're double dog-faced, what was it Biden called them? They're double dog-faced pony soldiers. That's how low our politicians are. I've told you, they're worse than everything. To me, it's like man, woman, horse, dog, rat, lawyer, politician. Fred West, Moira Hindley, politician. That's the pecking order in my eyes, right? So they are crazy. To me, the mental shit is you're not mental if you just punch your missus in the pub or something. But everybody always goes, oh, they've got trauma, they've got PTSD, they've got mental health, blah blah blah. They're all lying. By definition, someone like Teddy West or old hunters are mental. So they should be, regretfully, bullet in the napper, as far as I'm concerned. And I don't think it's that controversial to say so. I just don't. Like, I bet you if you asked, yeah, see, resistant Geordie, slightly to the right of me, go for a wet when you get to the kneecaps, slightly to the right of me. But what I'm saying is, if you put it in that way, because if you're a moderate, you get more success, right? Should we regretfully humanely put down people that will only ever be a risk to innocent women and children? I reckon like 70% of the public would back it. What do you reckon? Like percentages. I know the left are completely brain dead, but there's going to be Labour voters, especially from up north, Geordies and Mackhams who vote Labour, even though because the mum and dad told them to. But they're not left wing. Geordie Bricklayer votes Labour because his mum and dad told him to. But if you said, what do you think we should do with Ian Huntley? He'd be like, yeah, kill him with a brick like canny lad. Do you know what I mean? I think like 70% of people would be like, yeah, just do it. If they're a genuine threat to women and children, regretfully put them down. I think that's a civilised, reasonable opinion to hold. And I don't understand how the woke globalists have managed to convince the entire world that saying so is extreme. Is any party, even, everyone says Farage is a bit of a drip. Are UKIP or Homeland or are any of them advocating for the return of capital punishment? Because it seems like nobody is. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, but isn't that reasonable? Like, if someone's brain's broken, like old Ian Huntley, are we doing like everyone a favour? We're doing him a favour by painlessly shuffling him off the mortal coil and not doing what a large amount of people want to do, which is beat him to death with a spiky dildo, right? We're doing him a favour, and we're doing the general public a favour, and we're doing the taxpayer a favour because we're putting down a sick dog. So that's that. And that's a good question, of which I have an answer, right? Anything that's even remotely within the realms of possibility of being a bad move, you just give them life in prison. So it could be like, it's only in the case of like DNA evidence, CCTV evidence, or like, you know, a body under your crazy paving. You can't say Ian Huntley didn't do it because he had 2 bodies in his bathtub. You know what I'm saying? Let be. I wouldn't. You'd have to say when she needs to be locked up, and then we put a lot more effort in to looking into the case. But if you go to Fred West's house and there's 17 bodies under his crazy paving, well then, what argument can you make? Oh, it was like that when I moved in. Do you know what I mean? You can, and that's true as well. And that's true. Well, so I suppose what you'd have to say is the whole jury would have to say there has to be a system in place where you can say definitely did it. The reason they got rid of it in the first place was because there was miscarriages of justice, wasn't there? Because we didn't have all the tools at our disposal as we did in the 40s or the 50s. But in 2025, I think we've got enough ability with modern policing and modern technology to either nail it on 100%, banged on, bank the rights, girl in your bathtub shit, that we can get rid of them. And if there's any doubt, then you just give them life in prison. But it has to be life. You don't get 12 years. Anyway, we'll cover this bloke, shall we? That story is brother attacks prison officers. That's not coming up, that one. Attacks prison officers. Aha, here we are. It's just popped up. There he is. Just look at him. Just look at him. Definitely the result of rattling your first cousin more than a tramp rattles his cup. Right, that is 100%. Daddy's been dug up his relatives. So that's brilliant. Just to clarify, Ronald means strange rather than professional comedian. Chubby Brown looks funny. He doesn't. He looks like his daddy was ragging his relatives. So he's attacked prison officers. 3 prison officers have been attacked by Hashem Abadi, the brother of the bomber. Officers sustained life-threatening injuries, including burns, scalds, and stab wounds. Holy shit. In County Durham. He threw hot cooking oil over them and used some homemade weapons to stab them. Staff are shaken by what's happened. No shit. Staff are shaken by what's happened, but fortunately did recover some of the oil so they can make a parmo when they get home. All right, this is the northeast. Waste not, want not. Difficult day in a prison when your colleagues are seriously hurt. Abadis is the brother of Salman. Government source confirmed he was the prisoner involved. He was found guilty of 22 counts of murder and was found guilty of a previous vicious. So just get shot. So this is my point. If you're an unrepentant career criminal, you're a cold-blooded killer, and you've never felt remorse, and you're never going to feel remorse, and you're constantly going to be a massive pain up the arse, can't we just bin him? Can't we just bin him? We don't need him anymore. He doesn't bring anything to the table. Just get shot of him. As I said, if I was a British politician, I'd volunteer for the duty myself. I'd be the state-funded executioner. I'd be more than willing to do it. I wouldn't want a salary. In fact, I'll put my name in the hat now. I'll fly home once a month. Last Friday of every month, payday for the military. So I'll have more money in the pocket. And we'll set it up. I'll do a live broadcast. I will put a poll on YouTube to see what this week's weapon of choice is going to be. Could be a katana or a big spiky dildo or a sledgehammer or a brick. Or we can do it the easy way. I'll just use like a pump action shotgun or an Uzi. Or we can do Geordie's idea, wood chipper, feet first. We can put like a list of options up on the screen, and you have to text your choice. And every text you send, you get 50 pence, right? Cost you 50 pence. And then I use the money to help the victim's family. We can set up a fund for them. Trebuchet, love that. That's a good idea. Fire them at a wall. Where's Trebuchet gone there? Fire them at a wall, see what happens. That's a good idea. Pool balls in a sock, right? True story. I'm a Borough lad. That scar there on the side of my head, I can feel it exactly. I don't know if you can see it very well, though. That was from getting twatted with a pool ball in a sock. Several pool balls outside a pub in Borough. Someone had obviously saw Scum and thought, this is a fantastic idea. And then I got in a fight with a bloke. One of them hit me. I got the first punch in because they were both armed. And then I was filling in the one who hit me with a cricket stump. I was on top of him, lamping him, and then I suddenly felt a searing pain on the side of my head. Didn't knock me for six, the first one. So I just kept twatting him. And then the second one, blackness. And when I woke up, I had a keggy on my head the size of like Sylvester when he gets hit with a hammer on Looney Tunes. And apparently they'd knocked me unconscious with what was a sock with several snooker balls in it and made their escape. So I've been malleted with one of them and didn't kill me. Didn't even knock any sense into me. So that I think that'd be hard doing it with that. Going to take at least 40 swings or something in it. Anyway, so yeah, this bloke's just an oxygen thief. And we knew he was going to be. We knew he was going to be because his brother was. Baby killers. Baby killers under the Bootneck regime get humanely euthanized. I don't think that's a controversial opinion. I think nearly everybody would agree. Yeah, there must have been pool balls because we didn't have a snooker table in my local. So yeah, that's it. Must have been pool. Maybe a bit smaller. A snooker ball's bigger. I don't even know. The table's bigger. I don't know about the balls. It was ever since Scum in the 80s and the 90s. Everyone used them because Scum was such a roaring success. Where's your tool? Anyway, that'll do us for the day. I think we've got nearly an hour out of it. And yeah, I've ranted enough about my desperate desire to end the enemies of humanity via the medium of a comical assortment of weaponry. All right, thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'll see you all on Monday. I'll make some between now and Monday, I'm sure. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a drink. Do something useful with your time. And stay raged, because it's good for you, really, innit? Good for you. We need a bit more rage in the UK. If everybody was as angry as me, we wouldn't be in this mess, would we? I think it's that stiff upper lip and that tolerance to just grin it and bear it that's caused the problem, because it's part of our culture, isn't it, to be stoic and stiff upper lip and all that. But if everybody was as pissed off as I am, if the whole country was walking around tent pegging the shorts like I am, with a 24/7 rage semi on, maybe we wouldn't be in this mess. All right? Well, that'll do you for a week. I'm gonna go and cut the lawn or something. I'll see you all on Monday. Have a good weekend. Toodle pip. Cheers.